Hello and welcome to the Alaska Seminar Series. My name is Valerie Stimmick-Bailey and I am your trusty guide for all things Alaska travel. I run the travel blog Valerie and Valise. I'm a travel advisor and I run this YouTube channel which is focused on primarily Alaska travel. If you're watching this video, you are in the 2026 Alaska Seminar Series. So this is great if you're planning to plan a trip in 2026 specifically. And while I usually say this advice will be helpful in future years, there's actually some exciting updates that are coming in 2027. So if you're watching this and want to plan a future trip, just go look for a newer video if you're watching, just to make sure I haven't released one yet. I'm very excited to be joined by Amber Smeagol from Denali National Park again this year. She and I have talked several times in the past, and she is such a wealth of knowledge and such an enthusiastic public affairs officer for the park. We were just really excited about some of the developments happening in the park soon. So before I get ahead of myself, as a reminder, this was pre-recorded. I've asked members of my community to submit questions in advance, but if you have a question, you can post it in the comments if you're watching here on YouTube. If you're listening to the audio only version on your favorite podcast player, the easiest place to post a comment is on YouTube, but you could also find me on Instagram at Valerie Valise. You could also try reaching out to the Denali National Park Service Instagram account, but it's probably going to be a little bit complicated to reach Amber that way. So the easiest way is to get in touch with me. And if I can't get you the answer that you need, I can reach out to Amber and make sure we get you all that you need to plan your trip. Okay, housekeeping is out of the way. I am just going to hand this over to Amber and let her tell us all about what you need to know to visit Denali and what is new for 2026.
Yes, thank you, Valerie, for having me on. It's important to remember that we are excited to see all of you, whether you come in the winter, like at now, where it is very cold, or in the summer when we are the busiest. We're very excited to have everybody into the park. The most important thing to remember is that all visitors over 16 need an entrance pass, including vehicle passengers. Those are $15. Children under the age of 16 don't need an entrance pass. We don't have a entrance station like some of the other big parks like Grand Canyon or that sort of thing. So you have to come into the visitor center. If the visitor center is closed, there is a machine outside where you can get your pass. The best way to sort of plan your trip is to go to our website. We make sure that that's updated as much as possible. That's on the slide there, nps.gov/DINA. It's really easy to remember. We are cashless, so make sure to bring a card that you can use. All of our vendors are also cashless, so anything that you need to buy around the park, you're going to need that. We also recommend that you download the free National Park Service app. It's wonderful. You can set it to this park and it will show you all the things you can do here and give you audio descriptions and help you plan hikes and all that kind of stuff. If you have any questions for us, you can email dina_info@nps.gov. We also recommend one of our partners, the discoverdenali.org. They have some of the experiences that we don't provide through National Park Service that you can sign up for with them. And they have a lot of information about what's going on in the park and in the surrounding communities. If you come in a private vehicle, which some people do, you can drive the first 15 miles of the road up until the Savage Rivers check station. Any passengers beyond that need to be on one of our buses. You can see the mountain at about mile 9, so you can drive out there. There's a couple of really good pull-off places if the day isn't too overcast and there's not a moose in the way. The farther you go down the park road, the more likely you're going to see our wildlife. They do tend to hang out where on the other side of the park road, where you have to be on a bus to see it. You can't go beyond where the Pretty Rocks landslide is because the bridge is not ready for visitors to cross yet, but we're hoping to have that done and ready to go by 2027. So when you visit the park, even if you have a car, the best way to get around is to use the free shuttle bus, even if you're not going to take one of the longer paid tour buses. The shuttle bus goes from the visitor center all the way out to Savage River and makes several stops along the way. You can also, even if you don't want to do one of our trails, you can always go off trail onto the tundra. It's a fun experience. Make sure that you have all the snacks and waters that you need, and also that you're sort of dressed for all types of weather. I was just saying earlier that we had snow last May. So the weather can change in an instant. So make sure you've got you can be cool, but also get warm as soon as possible because can get a little crazy here. Make sure to give all wildlife space, moose at least 25 yards, bears, we suggest 100 yards, 300 yards, which is like a 3 football fields. And to make sure if you have access to bear spray, we do recommend that you carry it. We have some available in our visitor center to check out if you forget to bring yours, especially since you can't bring it on the plane. And we also take, if you don't want to take your bear spray home, we also take donations of that so that visitors that come after you can use it. Use the NPS app to help plan. Also, when you come to the visitor center, all of our rangers are ready to talk to you about all the different things that you can do in the park. One of the things I recommend on the website is we have a chart that shows you how long you're going to be in the park and what we suggest that you try to do while you're here with that time. So if you're only here for one day, you might want to take one of the buses, but if you're here for 3 days, here's some trails that you can do, and here's some other experiences that you can have. And as I said earlier, prepare for the unexpected. The weather can change at an instant. You might run into an animal you've never seen before. Last year, we had visitors who saw a wolverine, which is something that we don't get here very often. And that was very exciting. So just be prepared for anything and to have a good time and interact with our rangers as much as you can. So the big update that Valerie was talking about is the Pretty Rocks Bridge. It's been under construction for a few years. During the summer this year, the bridge has now spanned the rock slide. So it's on schedule to be completed in late summer of 2026. We'll be doing any final repairs and training all of our bus drivers and making sure that everything is safe and working. And also working on the facilities that are out in the west that some of us who work here haven't even seen yet. I haven't been to Wonder Lake, so I'm very excited for when the bridge opens so we can get out there. So there won't be any facilities open out there. You're welcome to hike or bike across the bridge, but just make sure that you're prepared for not having any bathrooms available, and it will take a while for our rangers to get to you if you have an issue. So that's exciting, but we want to make sure everybody stays safe. And then we expect the full length of the road to finally be open during the summer of 2027. So we're very excited about that. We should be able to have all facilities ready. You can go all the way out to the visitor center, all that fun stuff that we haven't been able to offer for a few years.
Yeah. And before I shut down the slides and we move to Q&A, first of all, thank you for the high-level overview. I do want to encourage everybody to check out the Denali Park website because I will say this, I am consistently impressed with how good the information is on National Park Service websites. It is always the place that I start my research when I'm going to a park. And usually the place I end, I might go to some other website and then be like, no, I need the official resource. I need to know what's really happening on the ground. So highly recommend that. Great that people have your email if they scroll back just a few minutes. But what I'm really excited for is the road reopening. Now, so let's talk a little bit before we move on about the bus tours the buses that are going to be available, because I think we have some questions about buses, and I am going to shut down the slides so that we can kind of see each other a little bit better. So this
sorry the snow is falling off the roof.
I'm going to leave this in because that's a truly Denali moment. Big old chunk of snow just fell.
Okay, good now.
No worries. It happens. You're in Alaska. Be prepared for anything.
Prepare for anything, especially the snow falling on you.
Yeah, that's why there's a lot of buildings, if you're walking around in the winter, that warn you not to stand too close to the eaves because snow and ice can come off. So there's another pro tip. So for the 2026 season, can you run us through kind of off the top of your head which buses will be running?
So all of the buses are running. They just don't run as far as they did earlier. So we have the free shuttle bus that goes out to Savage. And then we have the natural history tour, which only goes out to Savage and comes back around. Then we have the Tundra Wilderness Tour, which is the longest and most detailed of the tours. That one goes all the way out to East Fork, which is right before where the the bridge is being built and turns around out there. And then we have the transit bus. It's the hop on, hop off. That also goes up all the way out to East Fork, but that one doesn't have narrative tours. Although our bus drivers are all very knowledgeable about the park and can answer any questions that you have. And all you have to do on those buses, if you decide that you want to get off, is let the driver know, and they will drop you anywhere between the like Savage River and all the way out to East Fork.
Cool. Okay, thank you for running through that. So we do have some questions about the buses that I want to get to. Again, as a reminder, if you're watching and you have questions after this Q&A, put them in the comments and I'll make sure you get an answer. I may ping Amber on the email she provided us if I can't answer it based on my experience. So let's talk about the big comparison I think most people make. So on my end, what I see is people do the natural history tour when they have a time constraint that wouldn't allow them to have the time to do the Tundra Wilderness Tour or a transit bus, because the transit bus or the Tundra Wilderness Tour takes most of a day. So most people are choosing between Tundra Wilderness Tour and transit bus. Can you walk us through briefly the stops available for the buses, and do they differ between the two, other than a transit bus will let you off anywhere you want?
Yes. So as I mentioned, the transit bus doesn't have, there isn't any set narration. The point of that bus is to get you from point A to point B to point C. There are stops at some of the campgrounds and at Savage River and the rest area at Talkeeton, or out in the on the other side of the road. But there's no planned narration, and the bus drivers can handle that however they want. You could get all the way out to East Fork without having anybody ask to stop, or you could have a bunch of people on the bus wanting to get on and off. You also may be picking up people depending on how crowded your bus is. So that one can take anywhere from, we say, like 4.5 to 5 hours. But if if your bus driver sees a bear, they're definitely going to stop, and you're going to be able to look at the wildlife. It's not the priority of the bus, but that does happen. If there's a moose pile up, it could take another hour. If you can't, if they decide to stand in the middle of the road, who knows how long it's going to take. The transit bus also doesn't have snacks or water or anything that's provided on the other longer tours. So you need to make sure that you bring all of your essential items with you on the transit bus.
Okay. And then the Tundra Wilderness Tour, I'm going to try, it's going to pop quiz for me. I'm going to see if I can remember. The Tundra Wilderness Tour, the main stops they make are Taclonica River and then the turnaround point.
Yep. At East Fork.
Okay.
Yep.
And at East Fork.
So that one, the difference is, like I said, the bus driver is going to narrate for you, going to give you a little bit of history of the park, but they're going to talk about all the different animals that you can see. They're very focused on making sure that you see as much wildlife as you possibly can. Many of the buses have a camera on them and screens in front of each seat, so the bus driver can zoom in on a bear that might be too far away for you to see with the naked eye, which is really cool. And they're available to answer questions. And yes, there's only the 2 stops for bathroom breaks. And at East Fork, we try to do like maybe 15-20 minutes, so you can kind of walk around, and there are the rest stop is there. And generally that's a good place to see bears. We had a lot of bears out at East Fork last year in the riverbed. So that was exciting. We had a mother and her cubs was out there a lot. So people got to see quite a few bears. I saw my first bear last year when I took the Tundra Wilderness Tour, so that was very exciting for me.
Yeah,
the only one of the big 4 that I haven't seen is a wolf. So that's
those
on my
are
list.
the hardest to see. Of the big 4. So
Yeah.
That's actually really exciting that they're going out to East Fork. And I know it says that, but I wasn't totally sure if they were going all the way to East Fork, because the last time I did a Tundra Wilderness Tour was the very first season after the road closure, and they were actually turning around basically in Sable Pass, or like just beyond Sable Pass.
Yeah. So it took us a little while to prep the East Fork area to make sure that we now we've got a mobile ranger station out there. So we actually have a ranger that's out there the entire time, so they can answer questions. If you want to go on a hike, past East Fork, they can give you information on that. They built a staircase where you can walk down into the riverbed. And like I said, they have bathroom facilities there as well. So yes, it goes all the way out there. That one is about 5.5 to 6 hours. But again, if you see a lot of wildlife on the way out there, it could take, up to 7 or 8 hours. I don't think anybody's going to complain about seeing too many animals, but just be prepared. And that one does have right now what I would call a light lunch or a big snack that will go back to having a full lunch on the tours that go all the way out into the West District.
Cool. Yeah. So to clarify what you just said is it's like a large snack now. And then in 27, when they can go all the way to Eielson, then they'll have the box lunch again.
Yes.
Great.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you for confirming.
That's like I don't even know. I've never gone out there, so I don't know how long it takes, but
I would guess it's
probably like 8-9 hours at to get out there.
It's probably another 90 minutes to 2 hours from there, but there's more stops too, because you stop at Polychrome Pass and you stop at Eielson. So that makes sense. Thank you. I'm so excited for next year when we can really talk about the full range of Denali.
I know.
Denali is my favorite part.
To see it too. Yeah, like I said, I got here of October of 24, so I have only seen this side of the bridge. And only seen like Wonder Lake and Eielson in photos. So we're all very excited to get on the other side of that bridge for sure.
Yeah. Okay. So here's a good question that's related to what we're talking about. I always advise people to book their Tundra Wilderness Tour as soon as they know their dates. But some people like to hold off if they want to do a transit bus. Last time I was in Denali, transit buses were, there was less of them because it was during the pandemic. So can you give a little advice on how far advance you recommend booking transit buses, or can you just walk up and get on one pretty reliably?
It's easier to walk up and get on a transit bus than it is the tour buses, because we have less of those and they're longer. And people tend to make the reservations if they're on a cruise ahead of time, so they're all ready to go. Obviously, you can start from December 1st of the year before you're coming to book. And we do recommend as soon as you know you're coming and when you're going to be here to do that. You will have the opportunity to book while you're here. We have more buses now than we did during the pandemic. And there are opportunities for our partners to add another bus if it gets really busy. So it's unlikely that you will not be able to get on a transit bus, but it's not a guarantee because, if we have a big day, it's going to be pretty crowded. And so as soon as you can book it, that's what we recommend.
Okay. Great advice. So here's one about buses, but it's tangentially related. And I kind of really like this question because I know one of the best things to do with kids in any national park. So I'm teeing you up on one answer, but the question is, what do you do with kids all day? These are long bus rides. How do we keep them engaged and interested?
The first thing that you should do when you come in the park with kids is visit the visitor center. So you can pick up your Junior Ranger book, which we have them for different age ranges, and they're full of activities and facts and all sorts of fun stuff to do that keep kids engaged while they're either hiking or on the bus. And then once you filled out the book, come back, you get a Junior Ranger badge and we swear you in. It's very fun. So we always recommend that people do that. We have adults that want to do it, and sometimes we let them, but mostly it's just for kids. And the badge is really cool. So we really enjoy helping kids out with that. I don't think it matters which bus you choose. If you think your child will be able to be on a bus for 6 hours without going completely crazy, then you can do that. If your child is small enough, you will need a car seat. So that's important to remember. Everybody has to be buckled in. Making sure that you have all your supplies. You've got, a coat and bug spray and snacks and water is important, because once you get out there, there's no getting anything else. And that's generally the thing that makes people the most cranky, is they're hungry or thirsty. So, and then we have a variety of different kind of trails at the front country of the park. And some of them are quite easy and short that we recommend for families. And then the rangers at the visitor center can give you advice on what trails you can take with the physical activity level of the kids and the other people that you have with you. So they give really great recommendations about that. We're not going to send you up to one of the big hard trails if you've got little ones.
Right. Right. That's good. Thank you so much. Okay. Last question. Speaking of hungry and thirsty, I think a lot of people get really worried about mosquitoes, and it's fair because the mosquitoes in Alaska can be very aggressive.
Yes.
What I always tell people about asking about mosquitoes is, I'm sorry, I cannot predict the future. I don't know what the weather patterns are going to be. I don't know how cold or how warm or how wet the summer will be. But in the event that it is pretty bad, and I have been to Wonder Lake on one memorable childhood experience was running back to the car at Wonder Lake that we'd driven all day to reach because the mosquitoes were so bad. What do you recommend? Do you have any official or unofficial recommendations based on your experience?
So there is stuff on the website about that. This past year, like I said, we haven't been out to Wonder Lake, so the mosquitoes haven't really been that bad. We're hoping that this cold winter kind of kills a lot of the mosquitoes and the spruce bark beetles that we're having issues with the trees. But you're gonna run into them. We have marshy areas, and like you said, it's just Alaska. So anything from bug spray. I always, when I go hiking, I like to have one of the hoods that you put over for your face, and we also recommend wearing like long pants and long sleeve shirts, no matter what you're doing or where you're going, just because you want to be protected from the sun, or you want to be protected from the mosquitoes, or you want to be protected from, the trees and stuff that you're going to have to go through when you're on the tundra. So those are the biggest things that we recommend. And yeah, just run if you run into a big swarm of them. There's nothing that we could do, but hopefully, that trend will continue where they're not quite as bad as they have been.
I think it probably helps too that there hasn't been a big human population visiting the West District, and so there's not as much food, basically.
Yeah, we're excited to see. I mean, we've been our wildlife staff have been monitoring, what patterns of the wildlife has changed because there's no visitors on the other side of the bridge, and kind of see how that affects them. And then once we open the bridge, we're going to be trying to figure out, does that change their patterns? So and maybe the mosquitoes got bored and left, and then we'll I doubt it, unfortunately, but it'll be so exciting to see, how things have changed out there, and the new things that we're going to be able to see once it gets open. Yeah. It's a real wild out there right now.
I know. Oh, and that's my favorite thing about Denali is that it is true wilderness.
Yes.
It is about as pristine as you can encounter in the US. And that is a really special thing that I love that we protect.
Yeah, it's a great place. Oh, and also, I don't think we talked about this last time, but we had puppies in the spring.
Yay.
So when you come to visit the kennels, they're getting pretty big. They're almost like regular dog size now. But that was very exciting. We have 7 new dogs in the kennel, 3 girls and 4 boys, and they are adorable. They're not doing the sleds right now. They're just kind of learning, how to be in a pack and doing some trail busting on skis. But they're here and they're adorable. So I always, when people ask me what should I do, the first thing when they come to the park, I'm like, go see the dogs. Like that's honestly when I first fell in love with this park, was when I learned it was the only park with a kennel in the United States. And I was like, I want to work in a park with dogs. And they're here and they're wonderful. And you'll see them walking up and down the road when you're on the buses. So I always recommend going to see them. That's personally my favorite part.
And is the kennel open year round, or is it only open in the summer for visitors?
It is open outside of summer, but it's on the weekends from 1 to 4. So that's the only time that you can go and actually see the dogs. You might see them if you
working.
You go on a hike. You might see them out breaking trail or doing patrols, that kind of thing. But the only way to visit them is to go between 1 and 4 on Saturday and Sunday during the winter.
Got it. Now I'm going to go check my calendar to see when we're going to be there with my group. Okay. Well, thank you so much, Amber. It is always so good to catch up with you. And I cannot wait for next year's video. But if you're visiting this year, please don't despair. Denali is wonderful any year. You are not going to have a bad experience just because
No.
the road is not fully open. It hasn't been fully open in almost 5 years. So
Yeah.
it's been an experience a lot of fellow people have enjoyed. As a reminder, if you have any further questions, please put them in the comments or reach out to the National Park Service via the email that Amber provided, which will also be in the caption of this video. I've also put a couple of the resources from my blog about Denali and the link to the National Park Service website so you can get all the info that you need. And then I think that just about wraps it up. So thank you again, Amber, for joining me.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's great to be here. Can't wait to see you all.